Hi. So I'm still in costume. I'm still on form, so to speak. Um, and I'm in a more comfortable position. I'm away from my desktop, and I had still been thinking. I left out probably quite a bit from my earlier video I just posted. And plus, you can see my face a little bit closer. Um, I thought I didn't mention a lot. I mentioned I go out. There's a place I go to a religious synagogue. I'm Jewish. In case you didn't know that before, I've been going every week. They, I'm accepted. I'm very happy that they accept me. Um, and I'm guessing that I haven't been that good. I mean, good enough that I could pass without people thinking that I'm female. Um, but there are some people in the congregation that identify as transgender. So I figured, and I haven't been there in quite a while. So um, I figured I could go back. I'd already been cross-dressing anyway. Um, so I lucked out on that. And a lot of them know me as Samantha. Um, and the idea of humiliation, I've gone other places, um, and I certainly haven't been looking as good as I am now at my current level. It's been a work in progress for quite a while, and I've only been doing this for 2 years, almost 2 years, because I started when I started a little after um, getting my getting my new car. Um, and that was June, I think, or July. Um, so I think of last year or 2 years. Anyway, there's only been one Halloween um, where I've been during the period when I've been cross-dressing seriously. Um, I was interviewed on a podcast. I'm eagerly awaiting um, when the podcast gets put up online. Um, it'll be on YouTube, but um, I want to keep that a secret, which podcast it is. Um, but I, even though it's not a video, it's only audio, and the voice is disguised. Every guest that comes on has their voice disguised. However, I figured I would do it completely in Samantha's voice. And the interviewer said that it was very good. And she even asks sometime during the interview for me to do my normal voice. Um, and she said that that was iffy. Um, so that's pretty good. That's something in my favor. Um, but that reminded me of this interest I had in making something more out of it. And this is what I talked about in my prior video a few minutes ago. Um, I want to write a book, not necessarily a book, but I want to write about my journey. Um, and this gets into introspection about my writing process. I have I have shot for perhaps more. I've shot for writing a book when um, it's easier to start writing in chapters. Um, it's kind of hard to explain because I'm compressing a lot down. Um, but anyway, I thought I would start slow. I would simply type out my journey, and as long as it takes as many pages as it takes, that's how long the composition will be. I doubt it'll be a book. I doubt it'll be that long, but maybe it'll be an online. That's the great thing about online publishing. Um, it doesn't have to be, and ebooks and so forth. I guess it doesn't have to be 260 pages or 300 pages to be legitimized as a book. Um, the idea is to start slow. Not slow. The idea is to start little. Just simply add, and add until you've told your full story. So my story began as early as I can remember. When I was in Winnipeg, I was living with my mom, and I had I had enjoyed Mary Poppins very much, and I liked the sound of music. I liked I Dream of Jeannie, and one day I remember I was about 5 or 6 years old, maybe, and because I think we spent only 1 year in Winnipeg, as far as I can figure out. That would have been my first grade year, and I just happened to dress up in a coats or whatever. Mary Poppins, the typical outfit, Victorian or era outfit or whatever she had on, um, and went over to my mom. I don't even remember what I wore. I went over to my mom and and pretended to be Mary Poppins. It wasn't a cross-dressing. I guess technically it would be cross-dressing thing. That's why I brought it up here. But to me at the time, from what I remember, it was simply imitating a character I liked on TV. And I remember I Dream of Jeannie, fantasizing that my bedroom was her bottle. And from that point, that's the earliest point I can recall uh, having an affinity for women on TV with supernatural powers. Um, and then I remember Bewitched, Splash 2. Um, so as I said in the podcast, I I both want I'm both attracted to women who have these powers, are unique in some way, attracted to certain women, and I want to step into their shoes and I want to experience what it's like. That's reason number one for cross. Excuse me. That's one reason for cross dressing. I want to understand what it feels like. I also, number two, I also like the illusion, the challenge of being able to pull it off. I'm an artist at heart. I used to draw a lot more than I do now, um, a lot more. And this is a sort of artistry. Um, I remember in college, I thought about making a career out of stage illusions. That was the mid '90s when they had some magic shows on TV. It seemed like there was a kind of a resurgence of magic show specials. I remember the 1980s. There were oodles of them. I remember David Copperfield had probably practically an annual magic show, and it was a big event. Back then, there was cable, but the three networks were still very major. I'm wondering if I pull it off. I'm looking at my face right now, and I think I'm pulling it off sort of well. My earrings. By the way, these aren't. My ears are not pierced. These are clip-ons. Um, I know I have to get my work on my eyebrows. That's what really made me feel self-conscious. The desktop over there, um, and somebody said that my eyebrows, my natural eyebrows, look pretty close. But I think a lot of it is in the eyebrows, whether you look masculine or feminine. Every little touch means something, and I think this arch here is much more feminizing than the bushy eyebrows I have that go straight across. And it's funny because so many makeup artists um, have been doing make eyebrows, covering eyebrows over, and drag queens do that. Drag queens practically cover the whole that. I still have to work on that, so it's still a work in progress. Um, but one thing I'm proud of is when I began all this, I didn't go the slutty route. I didn't become a drag queen. I didn't set out to wear provocative outfits. I didn't set out to go to gay bars. I'm not gay. Um, I didn't set out to do any of that. For me, it was the challenge of looking like a woman, so then that way um, I could get some sense. I can't actually know what it's like to be a woman because I was born a man. Um, but through tricks, intellectual exercises, I can figure out how to come close, relatively close, um, and I can feel like a bonding with the women on TV, the female characters on TV. Um, I can get some sense of what it's like. Um, and I like twisting reality. I like illusions and making something, as I've said that, making something seem real. Um, seeing how close I can get to to pulling off a real illusion of looking real. Um, I keep thinking of those female impersonators I've seen on. I've seen some of those shows, Donahue and Sally Jesse Raphael, those talk shows when they were mainstay. And I got some episodes. I caught glimpse of some episodes um, of about female impersonators as guests. That's more like what I'd want to do. Um, I don't want to go to a regular job. I don't identify as female. I don't want to go to work like my current work and just declare that I'm a woman, and use the woman's bathroom. Um, but I do enjoy doing this. To me, it's like a cosplay. It's like an art form, and I want to I'm working two part-time jobs now, and I've never had an opportunity to do something professional that's creative. And I'm a very creative guy. So, it's funny when I was just thinking I wanted to dress up so well that each time I do this, I've done it before on YouTube. Those videos are now private. Maybe some of them will become unprivatized, maybe. Um, but every time I would do it, even now, even at the desktop over there, in my earlier video, I I was hoping that I could dress up well enough to shock people. There is some element in me that likes to shock and surprise. Even when I was younger, even when I was a little kid, in elementary school, I don't know about elementary, middle school onward at least. Um, Maybe other classmates, if anybody's watching this, um, would recognize that if they think back. They knew me and they think back. Um, there has been an element of shock in me for not to bother people, not to. I mean, I sort of want to say shock in a good way. Um, surprise, force them to reassess reality, just like the same reason I like the Twilight Zone, um, a bending of your conception of reality. I guess because I like things that new ideas and new theories, new concepts that twist my perception of of reality. So there is an element of shock. I wanted to dress so well and come across so well that um, that you all would get this same effect that I get from some of the watching some of these cross dressers, especially the professional ones. There's some on YouTube who are stunning, and and they have really good voices too. Um, I guess I shouldn't mention any names, even though some of them are now dead, and I just don't want to get into that. But there are very good. Anyway, I wanted to I wanted to look very feminine and convincing, and yet talk about cross dressing, just for that, partly just for that shock value alone. Um, so back to the podcast, that podcast I was interviewed on, uh, I mentioned I really hadn't cross dressed, and that's unusual. She noted it was unusual. I had the thought it was certainly, was it certainly there? Um, there was there was an attraction to women. There was a curiosity to women, um, and there was some sense of like wishing I could wear, like for example, Counselor Troy in Star Trek. Um, there was like a fantasy of being able to cross dress and wear what she was wearing and get that look that she had. Um, and of course, on TV and something like in reality, in real life, I think women do have more interesting costumes, more interesting outfits than men do. Um, so there was that. Um, it was my thing about mermaids, having a like pretending I was a merman and having a mer tail. Um, but other than that, um, I really hadn't actually physically cross dressed. Uh, well, my mom was there, so it would be really impossible. It would be really, really tricky. Um, but towards the end of her life, I remember we were, and that was when I was uh, 42, and that gets into a whole other story. Um, I had to support her. There are things about me that there are things about me that I'm concerned that people would take in the wrong context. This is called introspection with Jeff or introspection with Samantha, however you call it. Um, and I might as well be very introspective right now. There are some things that I'm not ashamed of. Um, my mom had, my mom would, my mom had, I suspect, certain things going on with her that she couldn't handle. And I'm glad and I'm proud of myself. And if anybody calls me a wimp, a weakling, a little kid, a mama's boy, whatever, I know I am not one of those. Um, I supported my mom, and she supported me. She's dead. I have no regrets about what I've done. In fact, I'm proud of what I've done. I'm glad because I can't take any of that. I can't turn back time. Nobody can turn back time. maybe Superman, but nobody can take back time. And I'm glad that I did the right thing for all those years. That doesn't mean that I wasn't searching for someone Jewish. Didn't mean that I wasn't lonely for a girlfriend. Um, but I think I'm dropping down to my masculine voice. Um, but I I want people to know that um, I supported her, and there are things about me that I think people would take in the wrong context, and that's been one of my weak points, like one of my pet peeves, one of my almost triggers, so to speak, that if I'm worried about anything, it's being taken the wrong way, being misunderstood. Um, so uh, so that's that. So anyway, so I stuck with my mom. I supported her. So I was 42 when we moved into a house with an upper floor, and that gave me the opportunity to be able to, when she was asleep, to be able to get some clothes and to start experimenting, and of course a little bit of sluttier outfits, like more provocative. I wouldn't say sluttier, more provocative outfits. Um, but I even that I kept very minimal. I mean, in terms of quantity, what I bought. And I and then after she died, um, I still wasn't cross-dressing. I still kept those things. I had to move shortly after she died, um, and then now I have a closet right behind me there, um, where I keep all my female clothing, and um, I still with that I knew to keep it within limits. I didn't go overboard with spending a lot of money, even though, of course, over time, as you learn how to cross dress, you pick up more tips and you get better and better. And of course, that takes practice and that takes trial and error. And of course, with trial and error, um, it takes money. Um, so I started going. Let me see. I shortly after I started, well, blah, blah, blah. um, I started primarily in the park, just walking and taking pictures. And uh, I'm very grateful to my friends, to my female friends, um, for having the patience. Um, I think I looked sort of good. I mean, they were encouraging me. They were saying, "Oh, you look beautiful. You look very nice." Um, One person, and it really meant a lot to me. I don't know if this person is watching. I don't know if anybody's watching, but but it meant a lot. It was extra. The others the others saying I look nice, or I look beautiful, or I look like I could pass, that meant a lot too. But too uh my voice is still in practice. I think it's pretty good. um but this one person told me um that Samantha is beautiful, and she's like she said she's very beautiful, as in almost like Samantha was a separate person. Um, and I really wanted to thank this person for that. Um, it meant a lot. I would have continued cross-dressing anyway, but but I guess you can tell I'm acting very feminine because I feel tears coming welling up. Um, um, but it did mean a lot. Um, anyway, I would walk in. I would take walks in the park, and I ordered some things on Amazon, and I started once or twice, a couple times maybe. I'd go to a restaurant, um, but I came in contact. I sought out um, three consultants, and they helped me with clothing, voice training. Although in the voice training, I only did an hour, and she said that I was pretty good at it. Um, and that's another motivation for me cross-dressing, because it involves a lot of my intellect, a lot of my observation. I've become very observant since I've started cross-dressing. Um, I have noticed how women use their voices. It's almost like a foreign accent. Um, I want to sound, I want to look, but I also want to sound natural. Um, I want to blend in. I don't want to sound like a drag queen. Ooh, it comes out all fake and superficial. I want to sound real. I want to sound passing. Just like the way I look, I want to come across not with clown makeup, not with, although if somebody were paying me money, okay, but I don't want to come off as a drag queen. Although I do respect drag queens as an art form, I think of geisha girls and kabuki theater. It really is an art form. I mean, some people do it for nefarious uh, and destructive purposes, um, really not genuine purposes. But I think for the most part, um, I think drag queens are entertaining, are funny. They know exactly who they are, and it's an art form. It's cosplay. But that's not what I'm trying for. I'm trying to look as passable as possible. To be able to get to experience, well, basically, the closest I can come is to it is stepping into their shoes and feeling what it's like. Um, all right. So that gets me to the question, would I ever go to a bar? Where would I go? I mean, what's the next step for Samantha? Um, I thought about going to restaurants. I mean, I have gone to a restaurant. The thought has crossed my mind about going to a bar, but I don't, it's like the thrill of passing. Um, I like to be able to pass well enough to be hit on, but I don't want to be hit on. Um, and so bars would be out. I'm not a bar person anyway. Um, I've gone to the mall, I've walked around. I don't know if they've clocked me. I mean, especially recently, I don't know. I don't know if I'm like right now, I don't know if I'm clockable or how close I am to being non, how close I am to passing. Um, That's why I wish there were more opportunities in this area, in this town. Um, I looked up online, and all I got were just cross-dresser, gay, singles, network, sign up here, and that's not what I'm looking for. Um, I want to perform. I want, so in that sense, I want to be a professional cross-dresser, kind of dovetailing into drag queens. Um, you could be a stand-up comedian. You could, a lot of them started off, a lot of them were basically musicians. They would sing, they would lip sync because they were female impersonators. They were impersonating uh, celebrities who actually live, like Madonna, Cher, um, uh, I don't know, whoever, Madonna. Cyndi Lauper maybe. Um, so those, I don't know if they're still around. I know they were around in the 1980s, 1990s, when Donahue and Geraldo and these other talk shows were on the air. Um, and now all I see are a few drag shows, but I don't know. That's on a national scale, and I don't know if I would be able to compete that well. Um, so where does that leave me? Um, I've thought about writing my music and maybe um, singing like on YouTube as Samantha, but other things have gotten in the way, and it's only been a few months since I thought about that. Um, my YouTube channel, I've decided those older videos should be private. I made a blanket decision just to privatize all those videos and start fresh. Um, so I guess that's all I have to say. I don't know whether I'd want to mention the podcast coming up, what the title of it is, um, but I would like to publish my journey. I don't know how long it'll be, but in some written form and make money from it because I'm working two part-time jobs. I need the money. It's a lot cleaner and it's a lot more ethical than a lot of the other things I could be doing dressed like this. Um, so I, as much as I'd be interested in constructive pointers on how I could improve from any of you, um, I don't think there are many of you watching. So I'll just leave it at that and enjoy the rest of my time dressed like this. And um, rest assured, tomorrow morning, early in the morning, I'll wash up and get dressed in my manly clothes and go to work. Go to work as normal. So long.